Are you considering moving to Reston? You've likely heard plenty of great things about the area, and for good reason. Reston offers a lot, but like any place, it has its drawbacks. So let's go over a few key pros and cons to help you decide if it's the right fit for you. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Crystal Walker with Ask a Walker, and I'm here to give you the inside scoop on everything you want to know about where to live in Northern Virginia. If you want even more information, or if you're ready to take the next step in your home buying journey, just click the link in the description to schedule your perfect home consultation. We'll meet virtually to hash out your priorities, answer any remaining questions you might have, and create a solid plan for finding your new home. Now, a lot of the info I share in these videos is research driven, but I also like to share my opinion as well as the opinions of others. So in between sharing facts, I'm going to sprinkle in a few of my own takes, those I've heard from friends and past clients, and even the occasional message board thread. So I'm going to start with the pros, follow that up by the cons, and in the end, I want you to tell me if you're sold on Reston or if you'd rather continue your search elsewhere. All right, so let's dive into what it's actually like living in Reston. Reston is Fairfax County's largest planned community. In fact, it was the very first in the country and was developed to be a place where residents could live, work, and play. And that still holds true today. So let's dive into what each of these three things looks like here in Reston. For starters, Reston has diverse housing options. And I say that a lot when I'm talking about Fairfax County because while you can find a mix of townhouses, single-family homes, and even condos just about everywhere, but Reston's a little bit different. Here you're gonna find a mix of traditional, colonial, and contemporary homes. And that last one's a big deal because true contemporary homes are pretty rare in this area. And then there's the waterfront living. That's right, you can live on a waterfront in Reston. Let's take Lake Newport, for example. It's lined with high-end homes and the vibe is completely peaceful. Now, if you're more interested in townhomes, Reston, of course, has plenty of those, just like most other parts of the region. But if you're lucky enough to grab one on, say, Lake Thoreau, you're getting more than just a townhouse. You're getting a waterfront view and maybe even a private dock. Some of these homes have direct lake access for small boats, plus walking trails right outside your door. And then we have the condos. But not just your average garden style condos, there are luxury high-rise condos in Reston Town Center. And when I say luxury, I mean next level amenities. Think about the nicest hotel you've ever stayed in. Now imagine something even better than that. We've toured units with 24-hour concierge service, on-site spas, pools, even guest suites for when you have visitors but you don't want them to stay at your place. Yeah, you're not finding that anywhere else in Fairfax County. And let's not forget Reston's range of home styles and ages. Some of these homes were built way back in the 1960s, but then there's still new construction being built today. Reston really does offer a little bit of everything. All right, so now let's talk about work. Because if we're being honest, a short commute in Fairfax County is a game changer. Pro number 2, Reston is one of Fairfax County's employment hubs. It sits right in the Dulles Tech corridor. It's home to major players like Microsoft, Google, Oracle, and General Dynamics. So if you're in tech, government contracting, or consulting, you're right where you need to be. And probably the best part, living in Reston means you get to cut down on those brutal commutes. Instead of battling traffic from Loudoun or Prince William County, you're just a few minutes from some of the biggest employers in the region. That means more time at home and less time stuck on the road. Honestly, if I were sticking to this whole live, work, play order, this should be pro number 1. All right, so let's talk about the play part because Reston isn't just for live and work. It's a place to truly enjoy. And one of the biggest perks is Reston's incredible amenities. We're talking about 55 miles of trails, weaving through neighborhoods, green spaces, and community hubs. If you live in Reston, chances are you're part of the Reston Association, which means you have access to dozens of pools, 52 tennis and pickleball courts, a golf course, and the Walker Nature Center. So whether you're into hiking, biking, swimming, or you just like taking in the scenery, there's always something to do in Reston. And we can't forget about the lakes. I already mentioned Lake Thoreau and Lake Newport, but Reston actually has 5 man-made lakes. One of my favorites is Lake Anne. It's the oldest and most well-known, surrounded by Lake Anne Plaza, which is packed with local shops, restaurants, and even a brewery, Lake Anne Brew House. The Lake Anne Coffee and Wine Bar is pretty nice. Their beans are roasted in Vienna at Cafe Amore. Years ago, Abraham and I stumbled across the Reston Museum when we were out to lunch, and honestly, it kind of blew us away. There was so much to learn, not just about the history of Reston, but the whole region. It kind of made me wish that other parts in Fairfax County had their own museums. But let's be real, most places don't have the kind of deep history that Reston does. Then there's Lake Audubon, which is perfect for boating and fishing, and Lake Fairfax and Lake Fairfax Park. That's a massive 400-acre outdoor spot with a water park, picnic areas, campgrounds, and so much more. And if you're looking for something a little bit more social, there are summer concerts and ice skating in the winter at Reston Town Center, the Reston Farmers Market at Lake Anne Plaza, and all kind of community events like art festivals and sipper strolls in the evening at Reston Town Center. Another thing that makes Reston special is that it's built to be walkable on purpose. Every neighborhood has a nearby village center, like South Lakes, Hunter's Woods, or Tall Oaks, where you'll find shopping, dining, more on that in a bit, and everyday conveniences, all within a short walk or drive. And then there's Reston Town Center. It's not just a business hub, it's packed with restaurants, entertainment, and major retailers like Apple, Lululemon, and J. Crew. And funny enough, that's actually gonna come up again when we talk about the cons. And here's one of the coolest parts about Reston. You can get almost anywhere in Reston using this network of walking trails. Seriously, half the fun of living there is gonna be exploring and figuring out where these trails lead. So whether you're taking a shortcut to a coffee shop or just enjoying the scenery, Reston's trails make the entire community feel connected. All right, so we talked about all the things to love about Reston, but now it's time to tackle the cons. And first up, no surprise here, it's gonna be the cost of living. So how much does it actually cost to live in Reston? Well, the median home price is $588,000, but that number is a bit misleading. A third of the home sales in Reston are actually condos. So if you're looking at just the townhomes and single family homes, the median jumps up to $820,000, while condos sit right around $427,000. And then there are the real estate taxes. If you're buying at Reston's median price point, expect to pay somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 a year in property taxes. But I'm not done yet, there are still more costs to cover. If your home is in fact within a Reston association, you'll also be paying annual dues. And in 2025, that's gonna be $848 a year. And depending on your neighborhood or cluster, you could have an additional HOA fee stacked on top of that. On top of that, Virginia has personal property taxes. So depending on your car's age and value, that could add anywhere from a few hundred to over $1,000 per year, especially if you drive a newer car or have a luxury vehicle. Now, beyond housing costs, some everyday expenses are also on the higher side, especially for things like childcare and home maintenance. Now, it's not outrageous, but definitely more than what you might pay in other parts of the country. That said, not everything in Reston is going to drain your wallet. Grocery prices, dining out, and entertainment are all pretty close to the national average, so it's not a steal, it's not cheaper, but it's not crazy expensive either. So yeah, Reston isn't cheap, but for a lot of people, the quality of life, the amenities, and the location make it worth the investment. All right, let's talk about the traffic, because if you're in Northern Virginia, you already know it's a thing. Reston has metro access, which definitely helps, but if you're driving, just be prepared. Route 7, Fairfax County Parkway, and the Dulles Toll Road, they're all packed during rush hour. And speaking of the Dulles Toll Road, it isn't cheap, which is why so many people, myself included, are always looking for alternate ways to avoid it. But here's the problem, you can't really avoid it. The toll road literally splits north and south Reston, so even if you're just trying to get from one side to the other, it can be a hassle. And as far as local traffic, Reston Parkway is loaded with stoplights, and the lack of traffic circles just makes backups worse. So driving around Reston is not gonna be smooth sailing. Now, you do have options. You're close to 66 and 267, and if you're heading to Tyson's, you can take back roads and dodge some of the worst congestion. But if you're, say, commuting to DC, between the distance and the traffic, it can just be frustrating. Now, at the end of the day, traffic is just part of life in Northern Virginia, and Reston is no exception. All right, so this next one comes directly from Reston residents, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. Reston has a ton of grocery stores. Seriously, more than you would expect. There's Whole Food, Wegmans, Trader Joe's, Harris Teeter, so you name it, it's here. If you need to grab something at 10 p.m., no problem, the grocery store is open, it's easy, convenient, and there's rarely crowds to deal with. But when it comes to local shops and restaurants, that's where things can feel a little bit limited. Reston leans heavily on national chains, which, depending on who you ask, is either a plus or a letdown. Some folks love the idea of having Apple and Sephora and Lululemon right in the Reston Town Center, while others wish there were a few more locally owned spots instead of the big box retailers. Now, personally, I love living in a place where brands I'm already familiar with are available. But if you wanted something more niche, you may not always find that in Reston. And the same goes for restaurants. Reston has some great places to eat, like Passion Fish, Jackson's, and Ariake, which I've heard has some of the best sushi in the region. It's still on my list to try. But local unique dining spots are limited, especially compared to Arlington or DC. So many Reston residents often drive to Vienna, Herndon, or Tyson's for more variety. So if you're looking for more of a mom and pop dining scene, you might have to do the same. All right, our last con is one that comes up a lot for families. School ratings in Reston can be all over the place. Some schools are highly rated, like Crossfield, Fox Mill, Navy, Hunter's Woods. But others like Herndon Middle and Herndon High don't score as well, especially when compared to other parts of Fairfax County. Now, South Lakes High is somewhere in the middle. It gets an A for diversity and college prep on niche.com, but academically the reviews are mixed. And here's the thing. At this price point, many buyers expect more consistency. With the median sales price of over $800,000, Many buyers want top-rated schools at every grade level, not just a few standouts. That said, school ratings can be a little bit misleading. A lot of the lower scores come from the ESOL students and from students from disadvantaged communities, which impact the overall ratings but don't necessarily reflect every student's experience. So when you break down the data by students who are not receiving free and reduced lunch, the scores are actually much stronger. So for many middle-class families, the actual student experience may be better than what the rating suggests. But the bottom line here is, if you have school-age kids, you should do your homework. Check out the school pyramids, talk to other parents, and visit the schools in person if possible. At the end of the day, some families are totally happy with Reston schools, while others wish there was a bit more consistency. So if schools are a big factor in your move, it's worth digging deeper before you make a decision. So what do you think? Is Reston the right fit for you? Or are some of these cons deal breakers? Either way, if you're considering a move, let's chat. Fill out the Perfect Home consultation form linked in the description below, or text 703-539-2053 with any questions. From there, we'll set up a time to go over your must-haves, answer any lingering questions you might have, and create a game plan to find your ideal home. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.